I'm here with Chris Sparshott again. Hi, Chris.
Hey.
So previously you've talked saying that you were the spokesperson for some SaaS stuff going on with IBM.
Yeah.
And obviously my interest is very much in the clouds. So yeah, I'd like to get your thoughts on where you see cloud being as an enabler for us going forward.
Sure. I mean, I think you've used the right word there. It's an enabling technology, essentially. So all the vendors, including IBM, so we've been doing cloud computing for 100 years, or however long, and that's kind of true. Private clouds certainly has existed for a long time, and outsourced deals that IBM and others do essentially delivers that. It's a highly customized environment for a business. But cloud computing, in my mind, as software as a service specifically, is the same but different. In that you still need the same techniques and qualities of service to manage a software application on a cloud, which means it's available 24/7, it's accessible anywhere in the world, assuming you've got a network link, it's available via a mobile phone, that type of thing. So there's some common themes between that and the 10 years or 100 years of doing cloud computing. The difference is that the paradigm's slightly different, and what's happening is we're now making software componentized or commodity. So we're looking at software. What does it deliver to the business side? What IT capabilities are there? And you look at the easy ones like email calendaring, all that sort of stuff. You go, hey, that's pretty easy. It's commoditized. You can get it anywhere. You can go to a hoster down the road. You can go to Gmail. You can go to Hotmail, and you can go to IBM. And usually those solutions were initially you buy some software, you put it on a box in your office somewhere, and it runs and does your email. And what we're seeing is that's been heavily componentized or commoditized, which means now vendors such as IBM and others deliver that capability very, very cheaply. So cheaply, in fact, that there's no point you buying hardware. There's no point having expensive network devices or paying for an administrator. You just go buy that service and you're done. We do $3 a month. It's cheap as chips. So if you see, you sort of think about this. When I think of companies looking at cloud solutions, it's pretty easy to sort of pick off the commoditized components. And by commoditized, I'm kind of thinking that does this IT application or IT service that your IT department is currently giving you add any value to your position in the marketplace? If the answer is no, not really, then it becomes a candidate for putting in a cloud. And the reason that you put it in a cloud is because it's cheaper and there's reduced complexity, and that's got to be a good thing for everyone. It's good for the vendors and it's good for customers, so they realise some real benefit. But the thing is, when we talk about cloud computing and software as a service, and we say, well, we want lower complexity, we want lower price, so maybe that's an opportunity to put it in the cloud because it's easy to manage, cheaper, and all the rest of it. It's not to say there's no value for your organisation for those services. It just means that the value is diminishing in terms of how it differentiates your business in the marketplace. So the thing is, if the value is reducing by having those IT services, then you don't want to pay as much for them. So put them somewhere where it's cheaper. You have to meet obviously criteria for compliance and legal reasons, but on the whole, a lot of those can be resolved today. Now, if I sort of put my crystal ball on, what does that mean? You're kind of seeing software as a service is really just a utility. It's kind of like electricity. Going, well, if I'm an entrepreneur and I want to start a new business, I need this, this, and this. So I just need these services. I kind of need them to talk together a little bit, but I just want to present it to me at the lowest cost thing. So I don't want any hardware. I don't want any administration. If I can possibly get it, I want it as simple as possible. So you think of a company that's just about to take new offices, say in a PricewaterhouseCoopers building on the harbour front there, then maybe they provide air conditioning. All they need is a wireless node and services, and that becomes your place of doing business. You have very little IT actually on the floor, if you like, in that your private little data centre, other than the IT systems that support the business to differentiate themselves within the marketplace. And so you can see there's a kind of a move from all these administrators and perhaps some developers to that sort of business process management idea of how do I get the business to work better, because that's where you want to start putting your focus, not perhaps how do I configure this new piece of hardware, which isn't really adding any value, especially if you sell vegetables. It's probably not a great way of selling more vegetables, is like knowing how to change the switch on a piece of hardware. So I think cloud computing as a potential endpoint holds a whole host of things, benefits for companies. Cost is one of those. Differentiation in the market is another way. Simplicity, reduced complexity. So it's a good thing. For IT vendors, it's a kind of, it's a difficult one because it's fairly cannibalistic in that, as people want more cloud-based solutions, then perhaps they're not going to buy so much licensed software, either going to install things on their floor, if you like, big pieces of hardware. I don't see that as a problem, because what it will do is it will just make our organisation, especially in New Zealand, more efficient, more productive, and I think that's got to be a good thing, for IBM in New Zealand as well.
So, using your analogy of the PwC building, obviously there's all the commodity stuff, the air conditioning, the electricity, the water. What in cloud computing keeps that analogy going for the nice location, the good view, and the beautiful building? What is there that actually adds value that we can do from the cloud?
Do you mean in terms of what services the cloud provider could give as an additional extra?
That aren't that same sort of commodity, componentized type thing.
Well, therein lies the challenge. That the business has to understand. In terms of IT services that I currently consume, that I sort of pay my admins to create for me, what differentiates? What is a differentiator? And I suppose in terms of those sorts of services, it's going to have to be that, and I suspect it'll be around business process and execution of business process. So that is the unique stuff. So if you're a cloud provider and you're just providing commodity, that doesn't mean that you can't provide highly customized type bits as well. But that's almost at an outsourcing future state type thing. There's not a lot of that going on right now for people that are first looking at cloud computing. Although, when we look at Salesforce and Force.com, they provide development platforms to allow you to do that. That's not the key motivator for people moving into that. It's just cheap, less complex service, core capabilities, and it just does 80% of what I need to do right now.
Allows businesses to stick to their knitting.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Ben.